Okay, so I've started to record, so now y'all be able to see it if y'all need to go back and look at anything. I had been asked specifically to go over Docusign today, and so I was going to go ahead and do that. Have either of y'all used Docusign through command yet?
I have.
Okay, good. Let's see. So you go into opportunities. One of the things you have to make sure, probably one of the biggest things I see people getting confused on, is how to tie a opportunity to a room in Docusign. So if you go into your pipeline and you have your buyers here, let's see. I'm going to just say, I'm going to go active. I'm going to create an opportunity. So the top right-hand corner, you see this teal button, create an opportunity. The market center is Atlanta Metro East. It doesn't matter which market center. If you're in the business center, the market center, you have to stay under Atlanta Metro East. I'm going to type in, because I always use him as a guinea pig, I'm going to type in my husband's name. So he's going to be a buyer. And then we all make sure we want to tag him. So I'm going to tag a couple of different things. I'm going to tag it as, I'm just going to, well, let's see, I have him as Blake Sinclair. I have him as buyer. Oh, well, that one's not one there. Okay. And he's a referral. How's that? He wants to close probably by the end of September. So I'm going to put that there. So his time frame is about 1 month. His budget is, he's gonna be a good one. So I'm gonna put him at 900,000. Okay, we're gonna put him as searching. I'm gonna hit create. Okay, so you can put in this information if you want to. Some of this will cross over. The general information for him is going to be the opportunity name. This is what your room will be called. You'll have the different phases. You'll have, this will help this will translate into your buyer brokerage agreement. And then this is a property. If he's interested in a property, this could come over. So I'm gonna hit this little button right here. I'm just gonna put in our address. So just for, let's see, you can see how it kind of crosses over. The buyer profile, I'm not gonna do anything in that. Documents. This is where you want to start your transaction. So you initially would do a consultation, and then you would go under contract, and then you would do close. So of course, most of the time you're going to be in either consultation or contract for the most of your transaction. So in order to tie the opportunity to a room, you have to be in this particular window, and you have to go over here to this black button that says start a transaction. We want to do Docusign or .loop. We're going to do Docusign. And this automatically directs me to the Docusign website, and it should auto enter my stuff. So log in. Okay, so now it has created a new room for my buyer. It's put in the address. I can put in the people. It's going to have already in here, it'll have admin, Atlanta Metro East, or of course, this is my new one. The details, this is where this can save you a good bit of time. So I want to edit this. I'm going to say the seller is ABC Parker. Their phone number is in here. Okay, the location, you have your address there. Sometimes it won't do the state, which is weird. Like it'll put the zip code and everything, but then you can do the property. It's going to be a residential detached. The year it was built was the year 2000. Okay, so if I am doing a buyer brokerage agreement and we're going to go ahead and put in an offer, I could go ahead and put in today's date. We're going to offer 900,000. The earnest money is going to be 9,000. I don't have a contract date because I don't know when it's going to be bound, right? This is kind of a little bit silly to me why they would do this. The entity holding the earnest money is the attorney. I don't have a binding date. I'm not going to put any of these in here except for the expected closing date of 9/30. And you'll see that came over from Command where I put it into the buyer details. It came over into Docusign. So that's there. All of this information is not stuff you would know at this time. So you just leave that blank. The seller, if I have the seller's information, I can put that in. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. If you have the listing agent, I'm going to put in here that it's just myself. I don't need all that, but if you are going to put in the information for the other agent, it's always helpful you type that in because that just saves them a lot of time. I would put in their brokerage, all that stuff. The listing agent, and then the buyer. I'm going to put the buyer's name. If I want their phone number in there, I know there's mixed feelings about this. Sometimes putting that information in there gives away your client information. So a lot of people leave those blank because they don't want the other agent to have access to their client. This shouldn't be an issue, but sometimes it is. So you could also put in the address. This would be his home address or whatever. Let's see, I'll do it this way. I think I have somebody else trying to come in. Okay. So we're going to fill in as much of this information as we can. And this just saves you time later on. The buyer 1, buyer 2, the buyer's agent. So I have my information in there. If there's a co-agent right there, then you hit save. Okay. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to go to your documents. And there's a couple of different ways you can do these. You can upload them from your computer if you have something particular you want to use. I always use the forms. They're going to have where I can autofill everything. I hit add. Do I want it from my computer, from Docusign forms? If you use zip forms, you can do that, or any of these. We're going to go to Docusign forms. Now, this is one thing I know a couple of people in the Market Center have had issues with this, and Tamara and I have talked about it. If you do not have a library showing up right here, the Georgia Association of Realtors library, or things like that, there is something wrong with your NERDS number and the connection in Docusign. So you definitely need to check with Tamara to make sure we have that set up correctly. And we may have to go a little further into Docusign and escalate that, because that's not something I can fix. It has to be something that that you do with your NERDS number. So if you don't have this, let me know and we'll work on getting that fixed. Okay, so these are the forms that the Market Center has grouped together for us. So we have a new buyer, a new seller, receive an offer, counter offer, or write an offer. Okay, so I'm gonna, because this is my first meeting with this buyer, I'm gonna say that he's a new buyer. So what do I need from a new buyer? I need to either agreement to work with the buyer as a customer or exclusive buyer brokerage agreement. So I'm just we're going to go through it very slowly so you can kind of see each part. Buyer brokerage agreement. Okay, you can set up templates in Docusign. And this is giving me the option. You'll see right here, I have none, or I can drop it down and I can say the BBA template because I have those tied together. So what that's going to do is I have gone in previously, and I'll have to do a little short video on how to do this. In Docusign, you can go and create a template. So that's going to automatically input your information, your broker information, anything like that, that you know how you used to have to go in there and you have to type your number, you have to type the office number, you have to type the MLS number, you have to type your address. And I tell you, these market centers, they have the longest addresses ever. So those things can take you an extra 10 minutes sometimes. So if you use a template, it'll save you a lot of time. So I'm going to apply my template and I'm going to hit add selected. Okay, so here you have the GAR exclusive buyer brokerage agreement. You'll notice here that it's blue and it says form. That means it is not, this is customizable, but it's going to have defaults on there. So when you change it and you need to go back and like say redo your buyer brokerage agreement, you messed up on a date or something, you have to go to this form. You can't go to, we'll have other versions in here in a little bit, but this form is the one you would change. Now, one of the common problems with Docusign for me, and I've talked to a couple of other agents here in the office, and it's the problem with all the documents get so confusing because there's so many of them, and it's like copy, signed copy, signed copy, and that can get really, really annoying. So I'm going to right click on this and I'm going to rename it. I'm just going to call it a BBA. Now I'm going to click on it. And a lot of that information that I've filled in already has crossed over. You still have to check it because sometimes it will not show up correctly. So you don't just use this as a pass, but it will fill in a lot of the information. Now my template that I applied to this automatically checks that Atlanta Metro East does not offer sub-agency or dual agency. And that's true for everybody. And that's true on every transaction. This is actually a mistake on my template. I need to go back and change it. The buyer does or does not consent to broker acting in a dual agency capacity. It needs to be does not, because they're not going to consent because we're not allowed to. But that really doesn't matter because we're not allowed to do that. So, but I need to fix my template. Okay, the term of the agreement shall begin on, let's say it's today's date. And I'm going to go through the end of the year. The agency and brokerage commission. This is also part of my template. I work for buyers for 3%. And in the event that the seller does not pay, they shall pay the difference. This is all template. I don't have to go and normally this would be blank and I'd have to click one or the other, but with my template applied, I don't have to.
Excuse me.
Yes.
I'm completely lost. I kind of had some difficulties when I was trying to log in, and I'm trying to figure out where do you find the Docusigns?
You have to go through command. So you start off, you start off in command and you go into your opportunities. Okay. And then when you hit create an opportunity, it takes you to Docusign. Okay. Where you log in there and it creates a room with the same name as your opportunity.
Okay. Gotcha.
And what I'm going to do is I'm recording this too. So when I'm done, I'll post it in the Facebook group and I'll also send out an email so y'all have it. So yes. I walk through that whole process in the first couple of minutes. So you'll be able to come back and see it. Don't worry about that.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Sure, anytime. Y'all feel free to stop with questions because I'm interactive. Okay. Number 5 is the separate commission on a lease. Now, Kim, this might be something that you want to be using because of if you're starting to work with rentals some. I don't, or I usually don't. I'm sure that may change in the future, but this is where you would change it if there's a lease. And so you would need to put in the terms that you and I were talking about earlier. The protected period is 90 days. Like if I show them something and our agreement ends and then they buy something within 90 days, they buy that house within 90 days, I still get commission. A lot of people will balk at this, so sometimes that needs to change, but that's my template, that's my standard. Of course, just like the purchase and sale agreement, all of this explains everything up there. And then here are all the forms that you need to be giving them. Now, a lot of people don't use all of these. In all of the CE classes I've taken, it's usually they're like err on the side of overkill. So send them all the forms. That way they have been informed of what needs to happen. Now you'll see here that this is where all that information that I inputted on the front end has now come over to here. It's put his name, his address, his email. I did not include his phone number. It put me in as a co-buyer because in command we're listed as spouses. Here is where my template came in really handy. All of this stuff that I would normally have to type by hand has already been entered in here. My office number, my email address, my MLS number, the brokerage, all of that is automatically inputted with a template. So that saves you a lot of time. I'm gonna hit save and close. Okay, now the next thing I'm gonna do, and we'll go into a few more of the forms, but I want to show you how to send a document for signatures. So I'm gonna go to envelope. This is where you electronically sign documents. We're going to create a new envelope, and this will work with any of the forms. It doesn't have to be just that one. Envelope name. You want to kind of keep these organized. So kind of think it through before you start sending it. I type in the buyer brokerage agreement because I want to be able to make sure I know which envelope it is. Which room document, I'm going to click on this and it'll tell me which documents I have. The only one I have there is a BA, so I'm going to hit add selected. Okay, who do I want to sign this document? So normally I would have who? The buyer and myself, right? And sometimes it's two buyers. For the purposes of the class, I'm only going to put my name in there so I can sign it and get back. I'm going to do the buyer's agent. It's going to be Charis Barker at kw.com. Add selected. Because I chose, how did I do? I did a pre-tagged role. There's differences. There's pre-tagged and then there's room participants. Pre-tagged, if you say pre-tag and you've put in that first information at the top of your Docusign room where it says who's the buyer's agent, who's the seller's agent, all that stuff, that creates a pre-tagged role. So those forms are marked. This is where the buyer's agent signs. This is where seller one signs. This is where buyer one signs, things like that. If you choose a pre-tagged role, then you will be able to, you won't have to go in and input all of those initials, which can be really helpful. But again, you still have to check it because Docusign makes mistakes. Here is where it says you can do a message to all participants. It just says, please Docusign. I'm just going to say initial agreement. This document, of course, I'm going to have already explained this to my buyer. Allows me to negotiate on your behalf. Okay, so I've already talked to them about this. I'm not just going to send this to them cold because, you know, that doesn't work real well. But I'm going to send that to them. It says, it allows me to negotiate on your behalf. So they'll remember what it is. Then you're going to click next in the top right corner. So it's preparing the document now. It takes a little while. So it pulls everything in here. You see all the different things I've entered in. Now, I'm gonna go down to the bottom real quick and show you where, because there's only one place to sign on these, right? At the bottom of this, it says right here, I said to pre-tag the buyer's agent. So it's tagged me right here where this is where I will sign. You'll see it's yellow. You go up here to the top left, it says Charis Barker is yellow. It'll have like the buyer would be blue or purple or green, depending on which role they're in. So it's easy for you to see like, okay, all the yellow ones are in the right place. Now, if it were missing something, like say I was also, for instance, I needed to add the buyer right here, and I would go to the proper name, drop down the right name that I needed. Then I'm going to say, oh, I need a signature there, and Docusign forgot it. I'm just going to drag it over. And I need the date signed, so I'm going to drag that over too. Oh, wait a minute, I forgot to put their address right there. I can actually add that. I can add it where they type it in or where I type it in. So usually if I forgot something like that, like an address or a phone number, or a lot of times you'll see this on exhibits. Like you upload a community disclosure or a seller's disclosure, and it's not a form, it's just a PDF you've uploaded. So you have to go in and manually add stuff. So you would just add text, and I would put this right here, and drag it to make it the right size. And you can type in the text here or here on the right. It just kind of depends on what's easier for you. Okay, so that pops in there. So now I've got all the signatures in like I need them. I've made sure they're in the right place. I'm done. It's ready to be sent to people and have them sign electronically, right? So I'm gonna go here to the bottom right and I'm gonna hit send. Okay, so it has sent that to me. I'm gonna get an email to that email address saying that here, Charis has sent you a document to sign. Because that is my Docusign email, and that is me as the buyer's agent, this is how it's going to show up right here. I can either go to my email and click through the email link, and sometimes that works, especially if you use a transaction coordinator. That's how it's going to come to you. But since I'm still in Docusign, I can skip that step and just hit needs my signature. Oh, look, it's telling me I have a document I need to sign. Here's the message. It said this document allows me to negotiate on your behalf. So I'm going to hit sign. This is just kind of one of those things that saves you a step. You don't have to go to your email and click through and all that stuff. So I use this a lot. It says, please review and act on these documents. This is what your client will see. So this is, good for you to have access to that. You're going to hit continue. And okay, it wants you to start. It takes me straight to the signature. I click on it. It has me double, verify that that is correct. I can correct that if I want to. I'm going to sign right here. And that's all I have to do to sign. So all your clients are going to have the same thing. They're going to see this the same way. Hit finish. Okay, so now you'll see it takes me back to the envelope section of Docusign, and it says that this has now been completed. So if I'm like, oh, I don't remember what I sent them, I can click on that. Sorry, all my kids are making noise. It's showing view documents. I can see what was signed right here if I need a reminder of what they signed. And it just kind of gives me a little quick preview. So that's great. I don't use that very often, but what that does into your Docusign room, in your regular documents, now you're going to have all of these. This is what it can get really, really confusing. So here's your form. This is where it has the tagged roles. It has where you can hit tab and fill in information. The one right here that says signed and it's turned green, that now means it's a PDF. So that means it's flat. It can't be changed without going through that whole process and having like manually putting in stuff, right? So what you have here is just, this is the one that has the signature on it. So this is the one you need to keep. You're probably not going to need your buyer brokerage form again. So what I do is I click on it. I'm going to archive it. I don't need it anymore. Okay, the BBA, this one is signed, but who has signed it? Just me, right? Not the buyer yet. Normally I would have those signed at the same time. A lot of times you'll have a buyer sign, but not a seller sign. So what you would want to do is go in here and right click. Well, get it to work, rename it. I'm going to say buyer sign. Okay, so I have differentiated between my versions of what will be in my folder, right? This is a certification. This is something that Docusign says, yes, it was sent to this address. Yes, it was clicked on and opened and signed at this particular time. I need to keep it, for my records if a signature is ever disputed. But for our purposes here, we don't need that. So I'm going to archive it. You can delete stuff. I do not recommend deleting certifications. Of course, you can't delete forms, but if you accidentally have somebody sign in the wrong place and it creates one of these green PDFs, and you're not going to need it, you can definitely delete that, and just it keeps your room a little cleaner. So I'm going to archive that one. So ask me if I want to archive it. Yes. What if I archive something and then realize I need it back? So what you're going to do is, sorry, this is so slow. Now this is my active documents. If I want to go to archive documents, it'll show me that I have these documents archived. See, normally I just keep it on active documents, but okay, so we've done that. We've got the buyer brokerage agreement signed, but now we need to create an offer, right? So I want to go and do that, but I know it's going to get really confusing when I do that. So I'm going to add a folder. Tracy, you've changed names today.
I did. I don't know. I've got a new computer. I got a new computer, and I guess because I log into the main Zoom,
Yeah.
that it automatically pulls up Kiera, but I have it set up on my laptop for my login, but I don't have it on here, I guess. So I just clicked the link and it signed me up wherever it wanted to, I guess.
That's fine. Well, I'm just showing everybody how to create different folders in Docusign. So, you know, if especially in this market, if you are working with a buyer, you may have more than one offer. So a lot of times it's helpful to put the offer in with an address. So I'm going to say the offer, 1717 Reed Avenue, create. So here is my offer folder, and here is my, this just says room documents. Everything you put into the room is going to automatically go to room documents, and then you can move it. So that will help you stay organized with what has been signed, what has not been signed, if it's the offer. And I suggest doing another one that has the bound offer, that has like the final copies of things. If you ask Trudy, I am always uploading the wrong version of stuff. I know she probably hates me secretly, because I always like forget to do the one with the last initial. I don't know what I do. I just, it's so embarrassing. I feel bad for her. But you're gonna hit add. We're going to go to Docusign forms again. We are ready to make an offer on this property. Again, it's going to take me into those groups of forms that the Market Center has set up. We are ready to write an offer. So what do we need when we write an offer? This guy's rich. He's going to do an all cash sale. We're going to have the attorney hold the earnest money. Let's see. We will need, it was built before 78. Well, we can't do a lead-based paint exhibit. He's the buyer. If I need to do one, I can upload one, but I have to receive that from the seller. Let's see. It's not contingent on anything. I need for it to be, where is the, seriously, do they not have the purchase and sale agreement?
I didn't see it.
That is crazy.
I know.
Lease or purchase and sale?
Don't look like the right one.
That's crazy. Okay. I haven't used a lot of forms because I found they were a little weird. But there's, okay, here's the purchase and sale agreement. Okay. Again, here's where my templates are. I have a purchase and sale template. So I'm going to apply that. All that's going to do on this particular one, because I use it for every buyer, it's going to have my name, the Market Center, the address, the phone number, the MLS number, office number, all of that stuff. That's going to save me, you know, 2 or 3 minutes of typing. So that's easy to do. I'm going to hit add selected. Okay, so here you can see I have the earnest money being held by the attorney, the all cash exhibit, and the purchase and sale agreement. Well, they're in the room documents, and I want them to be in the offer folder. So I'm going to do this, and I'm just going to move them. I'm going to move them to a folder in the current room. Which one? I want it to be in the offer. Let me hit move. Okay, so now I can keep these separate. And this is where it can get really confusing. If you know, if you start, it's fine when you have 1 or 2 deals going, most likely, but if you start getting you know, 5, 6, 7 contracts at a time, this type of stuff can really slow you down if you don't stay really organized. So you can do the same thing here, and you would go through the process of filling it out, having it signed, and then it's going to show back up in here as a green PDF, and then you can archive the forms, archive the certificates, and just keep the offer there. Now, when you hear back, congratulations, the seller accepted your offer, then you can do another folder that says, let's see. Yeah. So here I have the buyer brokerage agreement. I have the offer. This is where I did my initial offer, and this is the bound offer, because the bound offer may include a counter. It may include where we have added an appraisal contingency or something like that, you know, so your seller's disclosure, things like that, that you could put into this document. Now, how does this tie back into command? So I'm over here, I have this one signed, I have all of these signed. I'm going to go over here to command documents because I just kept that tab open. The consultation, right here, this is when you consult with a buyer and you set up your buyer brokerage agreement. You can add a file, okay? You can do it manually where you've saved it on your computer. You can go through Docusign or a custom folder. I'm going to go through Docusign. Do I want it to show my archived ones? Now you see the archive. No, don't show the archive ones. That will keep you from getting as confused, right? You can also select from the folder, do I want it from room docs or from the offer? Okay, if I go to offer, there are no documents to display because it's not going to show my forms. It's only going to show the things that have been signed that are now PDFs. So for our purposes today, I only have the one. So I'm going to hit the BBA and I'm going to assign it. So now I have directly from Docusign tied in my buyer brokerage agreement here. And then the next thing I need to do is submit it to the MC so Trudy can look it over, right? You would do the exact same thing with your under contract. Once you got it signed, you would add a file, click the Docusign, pick the correct document, and double check your initials and your bound agreement date and all that stuff are there. But you can add the file there and submit it to the MC. If you need to add a comment, because a lot of times I'll do like, you know, of course you hit your at Trudy or at Tam. I'll do that a lot of times if I need to say bound offer, earnest money is on the way. We'll update when I have received the earnest money. And I'll just stick that in there so I don't get a note back from Tamara or from Trudy saying you forgot the earnest money. No, it's coming. It's just coming in 5 days. So I'll just put that in there just so I just save her some time so she doesn't have to remind me. So that's always something there. If by chance you get a note back saying you forgot something or whatever, you can go back and fix it and then either upload it from your computer and you would either remove it or update it. It would say update if she has changed it to rejected or sent back or whatever the word is. So I can hit remove right here. Don't want to remove it? Yes. If you are updating something, you cannot use the same name. It won't let you replace it with something that's called the same thing. So you have to, you know, remember that. So I'll, you know, purchase and sale agreement, and I'll add the street name or I'll add the buyer name or something like that. But that's kind of a way that's one of those things that'll kind of frustrate you. You have to go back and rename it and then come back. So just remember that you can't update something with the same name. You do the same thing once it's closed. You're going to upload the settlement statement, the closing check, anything you need to do. You submit it to the MC. Trudy will look at it and tell you if you're missing anything, and you go from there. So any questions about how Docusign works? We have a few more minutes, so I can show y'all a few more things if we need to. Let me show you some templates. This is pretty cool. I'm going into this is my Docusign rooms. I really need to clean this out again. Let's see if I can. it's not my docs. Oh, there we are. Yeah, you go to my docs and you hit form templates. So these are the different ones that I have made. Here is my BBA template, my conventional loan template, agreement to work with the customer. Okay, remember I had that error on mine. I'll show you how to do those in a minute. Let's see. Let's create a form. What's one we could do? That would be normal. I want the Docusign library. I want the Georgia Association of Realtors. And it's so weird. We don't use Docusign here in Arkansas, which is very strange to me, but I have access to the Oklahoma real estate forms. It's very, very odd. Okay, so let's just say, I'm gonna do the US, well, it's not a good one. Okay, let's just do a land purchase and sale agreement. Use. I'm creating a new template. I'm doing it for the land. I don't use land that very much. I've only made templates for ones I use on a regular basis. You may find that they're different for you, but for me, that's what they are. So of course, you have to think about a template is for every deal. So you don't put in the date, you don't put in the property, you don't put in the MLS, you don't put any of this. You don't put, now if you wanted to, like, our standard is for the attorney to hold the earnest money. So you could go ahead and say the holder of the earnest money is the attorney. You could do that if you wanted to, but of course, what if your buyer or, specifies a certain attorney? So I don't usually put that in there. I usually say a check within 5 days, but I don't know the amount yet. So I'll leave that there. Every property is gonna be different. So I don't do the inspection or do different diligence. Am I working with the buyer's broker if this is a land purchase and sale agreement I'm obviously representing the buyer. So I'm going to say Keller Williams, Lake Oconee. I'm going to represent them as a client. You can change things on the template too, but just remember they're going to go in there automatically. So most likely I'm going to be representing them as a client. So I'll go ahead and do that. Is there a material relationship? I don't fill that in. Time limit, I don't fill that in. This is not going to be the same for every offer. So I'm just going to skip those. Now, what is the same for every offer is this, the buyer brokerage. So my name is always the same, if I can spell it. My license is always the same. My phone number is always the same. My email address is always the same. My membership in Lake Country Board of Realtors is always the same. 1101 Lake Oconee Parkway. And it smushes these together. I'm not really sure how that shows up. I think that might be right here. Okay, the broker's phone number. I'm drawing a blank off the top of my head, so I'm gonna put mine in there again. MLS call is Keller Williams, Lake Oconee 01 and H. So those are all going to stay the same. So that template is ready to go. I'm going to hit save and close. So if I'm in any of my rooms now and I put in the land purchase and sale agreement, it's automatically going to say, do you want to apply the template or not? And I can decide to do that. So now I have those templates here. You'll see the land purchase and sale agreement template. I want to rename it. I want to rename it here. Okay. I don't need it to say template. I'm in the templates folder. I just need it to say land purchase and sale agreement. Okay. So I've created that template. This is the type of stuff that saves you a lot of time over a period of time. It's going to take you a minute, originally. Now, remember how I had that error on my buyer brokerage agreement? I'm going to hit edit. So if you find an error, you can come in and change it. It does allow consent to acting as dual agent. No, it does not. So I'll change that there. hit save and close. So now my template is going to be correct whenever I try to use that template. But those type of little shortcuts, the templates especially, will save you a ton of time when it comes to Docusign. That was probably my most missed thing when we switched from Dotloop to Docusign, was not having, you know, my forms already filled out. And so that made me very happy that they changed that. So any questions about that? Or how to do that? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I send out this this class on email. So if anyone's having questions about how to do that, you'll have it, and you can watch the template part again, because I know the template stuff's a little tricky.
Yes, it is. It really is. It's a lot of information.
It is, but you know, I tell everybody in every class, the way I learn best, especially with a video, is I set it up either on a, you know, my phone, or, you know, in front of my computer, or another monitor. I work with 2 monitors because I'm used to it now, but I'll play a little bit of the video and then do it myself, and play a little bit of video and do it myself. And that's how I end up learning best. Because I'm actually doing what I'm hearing at the same time. And so I'm, you know, if you learn different ways, it's getting all of those different learning tracks at one time. So but that's all we have for today. So if y'all have any questions or classes about things you would particularly be interested in, especially as it relates to command, I would love to have some feedback on what you want. Otherwise, I just kind of have to pick a topic, and everyone's in such different places. It's a little confusing. I know Patrick is starting to teach a lot more classes for the state, so that's great. He is an awesome teacher. He knows so much about command, way more than I do, and he actually knows how to fix things if they're broken. I only know how to tell you if they're working. So so y'all let me know if y'all want specific things. We tend to have smaller classes, so I can be a lot more interactive and dealing with specific things. So y'all just let me know. You can respond to the emails I send out, and my contact information is on there.
Okay.
Thank you, Charis.
Y'all have a good day. I will see y'all soon.
Thank you, you too.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.